The midday sun blazed over the city bus terminal, its heat pressing heavily on everything it touched. Naomi sat behind the ticket counter, her steady hands shuffling papers while her eyes scanned the quiet scene before her. Her days were often a mix of monotony and fleeting moments of connection with strangers passing through. As she prepared for the next customer, an older man approached the counter. His clothes, though clean, bore the wear of time, and his hands trembled slightly as he held out a crumpled bill. "Excuse me, ma'am," he began, his voice unsteady but sincere. "I need a ticket to Sacramento to see my daughter. I don't have enough money to cover the fare. Can you help me?" Naomi paused, her eyes meeting his. At that moment, she didn't see a man short on cash. She saw a father trying to reach his family, a man carrying a quiet dignity despite his need. Without hesitation, she opened her wallet and covered the difference. "Here you go," she said, her tone warm and reassuring as she handed him the ticket. "Safe travels." The man's eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "I'll never forget this." Naomi watched him walk away, his steps lighter than before. The ticket counter grew quiet again, but the sense of purpose that filled her heart lingered. To her, it wasn't just about money. It was about compassion and the belief that kindness, no matter how small, could. The quiet hum of the bus terminal returned as Naomi continued her work, but the moment of kindness had not gone unnoticed. Lisa, her coworker, leaned against the counter, her arms crossed and an eyebrow raised. "Naomi, did you just give that man your own money?" Lisa asked, her tone hovering between curiosity and disbelief. Naomi nodded, her expression calm. "He needed help. It felt like the right thing to do." Lisa shook her head and let out a small laugh, her disbelief evident. "You're too trusting. People lie all the time. How do you know he wasn't just trying to get a free ticket?" Naomi turned to Lisa, her voice steady but firm. "It's not about whether his story was true or not. It's about giving someone the chance to reach the people they love. Sometimes, we have to take that chance." Another coworker, Mark, chimed in from the back. "She's got a point, Lisa. But still, Naomi, what if he doesn't pay you back?" Naomi smiled faintly. "Then I'll still know I did the right thing." The conversation faded as the next wave of customers arrived, but Lisa's skepticism lingered. Naomi, however, stayed focused on her work, believing that kindness had its reward, even if it wasn't always immediate or visible. The following morning, Naomi was called into Mr. Grayson's office. The station manager, a stern man in his late 50s, was seated behind his desk, a serious expression on his face. "Naomi," he began, gesturing for her to sit, "I received a report that you used your money to help a customer yesterday. Is that true?" Naomi nodded, her heart sinking slightly. "Yes, sir. The man needed help, and I couldn't just turn him away." Mr. Grayson sighed, rubbing his temples. "I appreciate your compassion, Naomi, but this is a workplace, not a charity. We have rules for a reason. If we make exceptions, it could create misunderstandings with other customers or even set a precedent." "I understand," Naomi replied, her voice steady but tinged with sadness. "But it wasn't the company's money. It was my own." "That may be true," he said, leaning back in his chair, "but perception matters. We can't risk situations like this escalating." Naomi sat in silence as his words sank in. Finally, he delivered the blow she had feared. "I'm sorry, Naomi, but we must let you go. This isn't personal, it's policy." Her chest tightened, but she refused to let tears fall. She stood, nodded respectfully, and gathered her belongings. As she exited the office, her co-workers avoided her gaze. Lisa muttered a half-hearted apology, but Naomi smiled faintly and said, "It's okay." As Naomi walked out of the bus terminal for the last time, the weight of her dismissal pressed down on her. But despite the unfairness of the situation, she held her head high. Her choice had been guided by compassion, and she knew in her heart that it was right. When she arrived home, her teenage son Leo was waiting at the kitchen table. "Mom, you're back early," he said, noticing the strain in her expression. Naomi sat beside him, explaining what had happened. "I lost my job today," she said quietly. Leo's brow furrowed in concern. Why? What happened? She recounted the story, her voice calm but heavy with emotion. Leo listened intently, his young face a mixture of anger and admiration. That's not fair, he said, his voice rising. You did the right thing. How could they punish you for that? Naomi placed a hand on his shoulder. Life isn't always fair, Leo. But we can't let that stop us from doing what we believe is right. Her words hung in the air as Leo nodded solemnly. We'll get through this, Mom. I'll help however I can. Naomi smiled, her heart swelling with pride. I know you will. We always do. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Naomi sat by the window, watching the city lights flicker in the distance. She didn't know the future, but she was sure of one thing. Her kindness had planted a seed. She knew it would make a difference whether it blossomed tomorrow or years from now. The next few days were a whirlwind of emotions for Naomi. As she sat in the quiet of her modest living room, the weight of her dismissal began to settle in. The bills on the kitchen counter seemed to grow heavier, a constant reminder of her responsibility to her family. Leo, ever resourceful, took it upon himself to help. He started offering tutoring sessions in math to neighborhood kids after school, earning a modest sum to contribute. Mom, it's not much, but it'll help, he said with a determined smile. Naomi's mother, Ruth, who lived with them, also stepped in. Though her arthritis often flared up, Ruth spent her days knitting scarves and small trinkets to sell at the local market. We've faced worse, Ruth said one evening as they sat together, and we came out stronger. This time won't be any different. Naomi found solace in their resilience, but a sense of guilt lingered. She worried about the strain her actions had placed on her family. Yet, deep down, she knew her choice to help the older man was not a mistake. Each morning, Naomi rose early, scanning job postings online and walking the streets, leaving her resume at every business she passed. Rejection was frequent, but she refused to let it defeat her. One rainy afternoon, as Naomi sat by the window preparing another round of job applications, there was a knock at the door. She wasn't expecting anyone and hesitated before opening it. Standing in the doorway was a well-dressed man holding a black umbrella. His face was kind but serious, his hands clasping a leather briefcase. "Mrs. Naomi?" he asked, his voice warm and steady. "Yes, that's me," she replied, stepping aside. "How can I help you?" The man introduced himself as Daniel Harper, and his words immediately caught Naomi's attention. "I'm Frank's son," he said, referring to the elderly man Naomi had helped at the bus terminal. Naomi gasped. "How is he? Did he make it to Sacramento?" Daniel nodded, a small smile breaking across his face. "He did. He got to spend his final days with my sister and her family. He passed peacefully last week." Naomi's hand flew to her mouth, her heart breaking for the man she had only briefly met. "I'm so sorry to hear that," she said softly. Daniel's expression softened further. "Before he passed, he spoke of you. He said your kindness gave him a chance he thought he'd lost. My family and I wanted to thank you personally." He placed a small envelope in her hand. Inside was a check for $10,000. Naomi stared at it in disbelief. "This is too much," she stammered, her voice trembling. Daniel shook his head. "It's not just a gift. It's a way for us to honor my father's wish to pay forward the kindness you showed him." Naomi's eyes welled with tears. "I don't know what to say. Thank you, but it doesn't seem like enough." "You've already said it," Daniel replied. "And there's one more thing." Naomi looked up, curiosity mingling with gratitude. "I own several businesses in the area," Daniel explained. "When I heard about what happened at your job, I started looking into it. I'd like to offer you a position as a customer relations manager at one of my companies. Your compassion and integrity are exactly what we need." Naomi's breath caught in her throat. "Are you serious?" Daniel smiled. "Absolutely. Someone with your values is hard to find. The job is yours if you want it." As Daniel left, Naomi sat in the living room with Ruth and Leo, recounting the extraordinary encounter. "Mom, that's amazing," Leo exclaimed, his face lighting up with joy. Ruth, ever the realist, smiled warmly. "Sometimes, Naomi, Life rewards those who choose to do what's right, even when it's hard. Naomi clutched the check in her hand, her thoughts swirling with emotions. She had never helped Frank, expecting anything in return. But this act of kindness had come full circle in ways she couldn't have imagined. That evening, as the rain pattered against the windows and the warm glow of the kitchen light filled the room, Naomi felt a renewed sense of hope. She hadn't just been given a second chance. She had been reminded that even in the darkest times, kindness could light the way forward. Naomi's first day as the customer relations manager was a mix of nerves and determination. The office was in a quiet corner of the city, its modern design starkly cogs with the bus terminal she had left behind. As she walked through the glass doors, she was greeted by a receptionist with a warm smile. "You must be Naomi," the woman said, standing to shake her hand. "I'm Clara. Mr. Harper is waiting for you in the conference room." Naomi nodded, taking a deep breath. "Thank you, Clara." Inside the conference room, Daniel Harper stood with a small team of employees, their faces bright with curiosity. He introduced Naomi to the group, speaking highly of her values and the experience that led her to this new chapter. "We're lucky to have someone with Naomi's perspective," Daniel said, his voice confident. "Her role will be pivotal in shaping how we engage with our customers and the community." The team clapped politely, and Naomi felt a surge of determination. She knew she had much to prove, but was ready to take on the challenge. The first few weeks were overwhelming. Naomi spent her days learning the company's processes, attending meetings, and familiarizing herself with customer feedback reports. It was a steep learning curve, but she approached it with the same tenacity she had shown at the terminal. Her colleagues quickly noticed her knack for problem-solving and her ability to connect with people. One afternoon, Naomi reviewed complaints from a particularly frustrated customer who had experienced multiple delivery issues. Instead of delegating the problem, Naomi called the customer herself. "Hi, this is Naomi. I'm the customer relations manager here. I understand you've had some difficulties, and I want to ensure we make things right personally." The customer, surprised by the direct approach, softened. By the end of the call, Naomi had resolved the issue and turned a disgruntled patron into a loyal supporter. Word of Naomi's dedication spread quickly through the office. Daniel, who had been quietly observing, called her into his office one afternoon. "You've been doing incredible work," he said, leaning back in his chair. "Your approach is exactly what this company needs. I'd like to expand your responsibilities, if you're willing." Naomi hesitated for only a moment before nodding. "I'm ready. Thank you for believing in me." As Naomi settled into her new role, the impact on her personal life was profound. The financial stability allowed her to pay off overdue bills and ensure that Leo could focus on his studies without worry. The small apartment that had once felt like a place of survival now felt like a home filled with hope. Leo continued his tutoring sessions, but took pride in his mother's achievements. "Mom, you're amazing," he said one evening over dinner. "You've shown me what it means to keep pushing forward, no matter what." Naomi smiled, reaching across the table to ruffle his hair. "And you've shown me what it means to have unwavering support. We're a team, Leo." Ruth, who had been quietly knitting at the table, added, "Naomi, you've changed your own life and ours as well. I see the light back in your eyes, and that's worth more than any paycheck." One Friday afternoon, a familiar figure appeared in the office lobby as Naomi was finishing up her work. It was Lisa, her former coworker from the bus terminal. She looked nervous but determined. "Lisa?" Naomi said, surprised. "What brings you here?" Lisa shifted uncomfortably. "I heard about your new job. Word gets around. I wanted to apologize." Naomi's eyebrows rose. "I judged you too harshly back then," Lisa continued, her voice thick with emotion. "When you helped that man, I thought you were being naive. But now, seeing how things turned out for you, I realize I was wrong. You weren't just helping him. You were showing us what real kindness looks like." Naomi placed a hand on Lisa's shoulder. "Thank you, Lisa. It means a lot to hear you say that. And for what it's worth, I never held it against you." The two women shared a warm smile, and as Lisa left, Naomi felt a deep sense of closure. Naomi's influence continued to grow, not only within the company but in the community. Inspired by her story, Daniel and Naomi launched a program to provide job opportunities and mentorship for individuals facing hardships. They called it the Second Chances Initiative. Naomi spearheaded the effort, mentoring participants and helping them regain confidence in their abilities. One of the program's first success stories was a single mother named Clara struggling to find steady employment. With Naomi's guidance, Clara secured a position at the company and eventually became one of its top performers. "Naomi didn't just give me a job," Clara said at a company event. "She gave me hope when I needed it most." As Naomi listened to Clara's speech, her eyes filled with tears. She realized her single act of kindness had created a ripple effect, touching lives she hadn't met. Naomi's journey was far from over, but with each passing day, she grew more certain of one thing. Kindness was not just an act, it was a way of life, and its impact could be immeasurable. Naomi's life at home began to reflect the stability and optimism she had built at work. The quiet worry that lingered in the small apartment was replaced with a renewed hope. Bills were paid on time, groceries filled the cupboards, and most importantly, Leo was thriving in school. One evening, Leo excitedly shared the news of his acceptance into an advanced program for young scientists. "Mom, this program could set me up for scholarships and internships," he said, his eyes bright with ambition. Naomi beamed with pride. "That's amazing, Leo. You've worked so hard for this and deserve every opportunity coming your way." Ruth chimed in from her usual spot at the kitchen table, her knitting needles clicking steadily. "You're showing the same determination your mother always has. It's in your blood." The family celebrated with a modest but joyful dinner. As they laughed and shared stories, Naomi couldn't help but marvel at how far they had come. Her new role had provided financial security and brought a sense of purpose and confidence that rippled through every aspect of their lives. At work, Naomi's efforts began to gain widespread recognition. Daniel Harper, ever supportive, brought her to a leadership meeting one day to showcase the success of the Second Chances Initiative. "Naomi has transformed this company's approach to community engagement," Daniel said as he introduced her to the room. "Her dedication, compassion, and vision have made a tangible difference, not just for our team, but for the lives of so many." Naomi stood to address the group, her heart pounding but her voice steady. "I've always believed that kindness isn't a weakness, it's a strength. When we invest in people, we don't just change their lives, we strengthen our communities and our businesses. I'm proud to be part of a company that values that." The room erupted in applause, and Naomi felt a surge of pride. But more importantly, she felt a sense of responsibility. She knew her work was only beginning. One afternoon, as Naomi was preparing to leave the office, Daniel approached her with an idea. "I've been thinking about expanding that Second Chances Initiative into a standalone nonprofit," he said, his expression thoughtful. "You've proven that this program has the potential to grow beyond our company. Would you consider leading it?" Naomi was taken aback. "Lead a nonprofit?" she echoed, the weight of the opportunity sinking in. Daniel smiled. "You're already doing it, Naomi. This would give you the resources and platform to make an even bigger impact. Think about it." That evening, Naomi shared Daniel's proposal with her family. Ruth listened intently, her knitting forgotten in her lap. Leo, ever the optimist, leaned forward with excitement. "Mom, this is huge. You've already changed so many lives. Imagine what you could do with an entire organization behind you." Naomi smiled, her heart warmed by their support. "It's a big step," she said, "and it would mean taking on a lot more responsibility. But it feels right." Ruth reached across the table to squeeze Naomi's hand. "You've always had a gift for helping others. This is just the next chapter in a story you were meant to write." Naomi nodded, her resolve strengthening. Then it settled. "I'm going to do it." Over the next few weeks, Naomi worked closely with Daniel to transition the initiative into a full-fledged nonprofit. They secured funding, built a dedicated team, and developed a vision for expanding their reach. Naomi's goal was clear: to provide mentorship, training, and job opportunities for people facing hardships. She envisioned a network of programs that would help individuals rebuild their lives and inspire them to pay kindness forward. The nonprofit's grand opening was held in a local community center, with dozens of participants, supporters, and community leaders in attendance. Naomi felt gratitude and pride as she stood at the podium to deliver her speech. Today is not just about launching a program, she began. It's about creating a movement that reminds us of the power of kindness, resilience, and second chances. This journey started with a simple act of helping someone in need. Now, it's grown into something much greater. Together, we can change lives, one person at a time. The audience erupted in applause, and as Naomi stepped away from the podium, she caught Daniel's eye. He nodded in approval, his confidence in her shining through. As the event continued, Naomi mingled with attendees, hearing stories of struggle and triumph mirrored her own. Each story reinforced her belief in the importance of their work. As Naomi returned home that evening, she sat quietly by the window, watching the city lights twinkle. She thought about Frank, the older man who had unknowingly set her on this path. "Thank you," she whispered into the night, her heart full of gratitude and purpose. Naomi threw herself into leading the nonprofit with unwavering determination. The program's success quickly gained momentum, attracting attention from local businesses, community leaders, and even national organizations. What started as a small initiative was now blossoming into a force for good, offering mentorship, job training, and financial support to hundreds of needy individuals. However, the rapid growth brought challenges. Balancing the operational demands of the nonprofit with her desire to stay personally connected to every participant tested Naomi's limits. One day, as she reviewed a stack of reports late into the night, Ruth walked into the room carrying a cup of tea. "Naomi, you've been at this all day. You need to rest," she said, her voice gentle but firm. Naomi sighed, setting the papers down. "There's just so much to do, Mom. I'm letting people down if I don't give it my all." Ruth sat beside her, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. "You can't pour from an empty cup, my dear. Your work is incredible, but don't forget, you're part of this too. Let others share the load." Naomi called a meeting with her team the following day to address the issue. "I've realized I need to delegate more," she admitted. "This work is bigger than me, and I trust each of you to help carry it forward." The team responded enthusiastically, stepping up to take on new responsibilities. Naomi felt a weight lift from her shoulders as she saw their dedication and skill in action. Weeks later, during a routine meeting with potential partners, Naomi was surprised to see Lisa, her former coworker from the bus terminal. As a community outreach coordinator for a local charity, Lisa was one of the presenters. After the meeting, Lisa approached Naomi with a shy smile. "I wanted to thank you for inspiring me," she said. "After seeing everything you've accomplished, I realized I needed to change my life. That's why I joined this organization." Naomi was touched. "Lisa, that means so much to me. I'm proud of you for taking that step." Lisa smiled. "Maybe we can work together. Your nonprofit and my organization have a lot in common." The two women began collaborating on joint initiatives, strengthening the bonds between their organizations and amplifying their impact on the community. As the nonprofit expanded, its success stories began to take on their own lives. Participants who had once struggled to make ends meet were now thriving in their new careers and giving back to the community. One such story was about Clara, a single mother who had joined the program with little confidence in her abilities. Under Naomi's mentorship, Clara secured a stable job and started her own small business. Clara took the stage to share her journey at a community event celebrating the program's anniversary. "This program didn't just give me a job. It gave me hope," she said, her voice steady but emotional. "Naomi believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself, and now I can provide a better life for my son. I'll never forget what this program has done for me." The crowd erupted in applause, and Naomi felt a swell of pride and humility. She had always believed in the power of kindness, but seeing it ripple through the lives of so many others was beyond anything she had imagined. The growing impact of the nonprofit caught the attention of a national foundation dedicated to social innovation. Naomi was invited to speak at their annual conference, an opportunity to share her vision on a larger stage. Standing in front of hundreds of attendees, Naomi began her speech with the story of Frank, the older man at the bus terminal who had sparked her journey. "When I helped Frank that day, I had no idea it would lead to this," she said, her voice steady and warm. "But that's the thing about kindness. It's like planting a seed. You may not see the fruit immediately, but with time and care, it grows into something extraordinary. She discussed the importance of compassion in leadership and the transformative power of second chances. By the end of her speech, the audience was on their feet, applauding her message of hope and resilience. After the conference, Naomi returned home to find a letter waiting for her. Daniel Harper had quietly stepped back from the nonprofit to focus on his family but continued to support its mission from afar. Naomi, the letter began, "What you've built is nothing short of extraordinary. Watching you lead with grace and determination has been one of the greatest joys of my career. Thank you for proving that kindness truly does have the power to change the world." Naomi set the letter down, her heart full. She looked around the modest apartment that had once been a place of struggle and realized how far she and her family had come. As Ruth knitted by the window and Leo worked on a science project at the kitchen table, Naomi felt deeply grateful. Their journey had been anything but easy, but it had been worth every step. As she prepared for another day of work, Naomi knew one thing for sure: the best was yet to come. As the nonprofit approached its second anniversary, Naomi reflected on the milestones they had achieved. The organization had grown into a network of programs supporting hundreds of individuals, providing them with job opportunities, mentorship, financial literacy, and emotional support. Naomi's leadership had become a beacon of hope in the community, drawing volunteers, donors, and even local government officials who wanted to be part of the transformation. But amidst the success, Naomi remained grounded, never losing sight of the moment that started it all. At the nonprofit's headquarters, a small display featured a framed photo of Frank and a plaque that read, "In honor of the kindness that sparked a movement." One day, while reviewing program applications, Naomi received a letter from someone she never expected, Frank's daughter, Laura. The letter was heartfelt and emotional. "Naomi, I want to express my gratitude for what you did for my father and how you've carried his legacy. He always believed that one act of kindness could change the world. Seeing what you've accomplished proves he was right. I hope to meet you someday to thank you in person." Reading the letter, Naomi felt tears sting her eyes. Frank's influence lived on, not only through her actions but also through the countless lives touched by the nonprofit. The nonprofit celebrated its anniversary with a gala event, inviting graduates, supporters, and community members to share in the success. Naomi worked tirelessly with her team to ensure every detail reflected the organization's mission. The night of the gala, the room was filled with laughter, music, and stories of resilience. Graduates like Clara shared their journeys, inspiring the audience with their transformation. Naomi took the stage, her voice steady but emotional. "Tonight, we celebrate the work we've done and the lives we've changed together. Every person here has been part of this journey. And every act of kindness, no matter how small, can create a ripple effect that changes the world." As the crowd applauded, Naomi felt a deep sense of fulfillment. Her vision had become a reality, and the community she had built was stronger than ever. Just as things seemed to reach a peak, a sudden challenge threatened the nonprofit's stability. A major donor unexpectedly pulled out due to financial difficulties, leaving a significant gap in funding. Naomi and her team faced the daunting task of filling the void. Instead of panicking, Naomi gathered her team for a brainstorming session. "We've faced challenges before, and we've overcome them," she said confidently. "This is just another opportunity to prove our resilience." The team launched a community fundraising campaign, leveraging social media, local events, and the stories of their graduates to rally support. Naomi contacted her network, including Lisa and Daniel, to explore new partnerships and funding opportunities. The campaign gained traction quickly. Alums of the program came forward to share how the nonprofit had changed their lives, inspiring others to contribute. Clara even hosted a bake sale at her new cafe, raising thousands of dollars in donations. Within weeks, the nonprofit recovered the lost funding and exceeded its goals, securing the resources needed to expand its programs further. Naomi realized that the challenge had been a blessing in disguise. It had strengthened their community and reminded everyone of the power of collective action. The campaign's success caught the attention of a national news outlet, which featured Naomi and the nonprofit in a segment on grassroots organizations making a difference. As the camera rolled, Naomi spoke about the journey that had led her here. This work isn't just about helping others, it's about believing in them, she said. When we invest in people, we're investing in the future of our communities and world. The exposure brought support, including offers from larger foundations to partner with the nonprofit. Naomi knew they were on the verge of something even more significant. A year later, the nonprofit expanded to 3 new locations, each modeled after the original program. Naomi traveled between them, ensuring that the values and vision remained consistent. Leo was preparing for college at home, his passion for science and innovation fueled by the stability and encouragement his mother had provided. "Mom, I want to create something that helps people, just like you have," he told her one evening. Now enjoying a quieter life, Ruth often reflected on how much her family had grown. "Naomi, you've built something extraordinary," she said one night as they sat together. "This isn't just a nonprofit. It's a legacy." The nonprofit's third gala was most successful, raising enough funds to launch 2 more programs. During her speech, Naomi unveiled a new initiative, a scholarship fund in Frank's name to support individuals pursuing education and training through the nonprofit. "This is for the man who inspired it all," she said, her voice steady. "Frank taught me that kindness isn't just an act, a choice. It is a choice to believe in people and give them the chance to shine." As the audience rose to their feet in applause, Naomi felt gratitude. Her journey had come full circle, but she knew there was still much work to be done. In the following years, Naomi continued to lead with compassion and purpose. The nonprofit became a national model for community-based support, and its graduates created ripples of kindness in their own lives. Naomi's story wasn't just about a single act of kindness. It was a testament to the power of resilience, compassion, and the belief that everyone deserves a second chance. Her journey proved that no matter how small the beginning, the impact of kindness could grow beyond imagination, touching lives and shaping a brighter future for all.